streets are on fire. I'll make you jump like you touch a live wire. Ain't no sitting down when I get in the zone. Just give me my crown, let the king take his throne.
Hello everyone and welcome to our monthly Ask the Expert live Q&A session. And today we've got Candice joining us because Dave can't make it. So hello Candice.
Hello.
So yeah, I think Dave's gone to the Vatican or something just to, I think he's made his way over there because he's religious like that. Firstly, let's wish everyone a happy National Bucket List Day. There is a day for everything these days, and today just happens to be our day, and it's National Bucket List Day today. So happy National Bucket List Day to everyone. If you haven't seen, we have got some offers on today for National Bucket List Day. And you can head over to the website and there's up to £500 off some trips. So you should head over there and see what bargains we have. If you are watching, give us a wave, give us a hello. If you're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, wherever it is you are watching us, give us a hello in the comments so we know that Candice and I aren't just sat here chatting to ourselves. So there we go. Tom's just put a link up there to our National Bucket List Day sale. So if you want to click on there, obviously after we've been this live here, we don't want you heading off just yet, but head over there and have a look and see what offers we've got. Hello to Lindsay who's watching us on Facebook. Claire's watching us from the Netherlands. Hello to Claire as well. Sharon Avery's watching us, so hello Sharon. So we've got several people watching us today. So I thought what we'd start off with today is just a quick roundup of what's been going on since our last live. Then we will talk a little bit about National Bucket List Day, and then we'll do a Q&A where if you've got any questions on any of our trips, you can add them into the comments and we will get round to answering them. So obviously don't wait for them to ask your questions. If you've got a question to ask, pop it in there now and we will come back and find the questions and go through them in that section. So what's been happening since our last Q&A session? Well, we've had a lot of activity going on in Nepal. We've had an Island Peak group over there, all successfully summiting Island Peak. So well done to those guys. That's a great effort. What else have we had since then? We've had a Marangu and Achilles cycle. We've had a large EBC group go out. We've had another smaller EBC group go out. And we've had another EBC group go out. So we've had lots of EBC groups going out. We've had an individual Mount Toubkal trip, a private trip for 2 people on that one. And we've got a Toubkal trip heading out in a couple of days as well. So it's been a really busy month in terms operationally with trips going out. It's been a little bit of a headache again with Nepal. Weather wasn't great for flying. And yeah, we had a few challenges there, but everyone has done their trips, have made it to base camp, have managed to fly in the end. So all has been good on that front. And then we also had our Trailblazer trip to Costa Rica, which is why I thought I'd get Candice on with us today, because she was on that trip with Dave. I think, Dave kept saying he was a bit like Hugh Hefner because he had an all-women's group and there was old man Dave leading it. So talk to us, Candice. What was the Trailblazer Costa Rica trip like?
What was it like? It was incredible. With it being a trailblazer, you know, the first one, it was extra special. It was amazing. We did so much in the time that we were there, ranging from, you know, adventure activities to cultural activities, and, you know, getting really immersed in the environmental and biodiversity elements of Costa Rica. Yeah, it was good. I mean, I know I'm summing it up quite shortly, but yeah.
So it was a coast to coast trip pretty much, wasn't it? You went from one side to the other. How many were on the trip in total?
So there was 7, and then with Dave 8. So
yeah,
7.
So nice size group for Dave to control.
Wrangle us.
Yeah, few of you knew each other already. Few newbies in the group as well. But looking at the videos and the photos, everybody gelled together really nicely. And from, you know, the pictures that I saw, it looked like an amazing trip. Accommodations all looked lovely, lovely sunsets, fires on the beach. It was pretty special, wasn't it?
It was very special. Yeah. I mean, like I said, every day we saw something new. You know, like every day was exciting, whether it was doing an activity or seeing a new animal, you know, seeing the toucans. I mean, one day we each held a tarantula, you know, just a wild tarantula. Just the guide managed to find a hole and said, "Here, who wants to hold it?" So, you know, we couldn't say no. And then, seeing.
Well, you could say no. You didn't have to do it. You could say no.
I was the last one to hold it, and I ended up helping it back into its home, and couldn't get it off me quicker. Yeah, so it was scary, but no, fun. I've never held a tarantula before, so that's definitely ticked off my bucket list.
There we
go. So the activities, the water rafting, the zip lining, I mean, that was pretty epic. I mean, we were going fast, like 43 miles an hour, I think it was. It was just so much fun. Every day, something different.
And I would say this trip was a soft adventure trip in terms that you didn't have to be super fit to go on it. There was cultural stuff, there was nature stuff, and there was a little bit of adventure thrown in there as well. But you didn't have to train for this trip or anything like that. It was very much a you did some whitewater rafting, you did some tubing, you did some zip lining. Obviously, you're doing quite a bit of walking on the trip as well during the day, aren't you? But it isn't trekking, it's just walking to see things, isn't it?
We kind of called it a stroll at some points. I mean, there are some inclines, you're going up hills sometimes, but you don't have to be fit for it. Anyone can do it.
And who would you say the best of Costa Rica trip was for? What sort of person would enjoy this trip?
Anyone who wants a mix of adventure and culture. Anyone and everyone. Yeah, you don't, like you said, you don't have to be fit. You just have to be, inquisitive. And Costa Rica certainly ticks off a lot of boxes. We even did pottery at one stage. So, doing the spinning wheel. And it was really fun.
Was it like the scene from Ghost with Dave there? Like...
I did want to reenact it, but that was kiboshed. The only thing we didn't do is get Dave to do it. That's the only thing he didn't do.
No, he didn't like pottery.
No.
So, I mean, I think it's an amazing trip. Obviously, that part of the Americas is on a lot of people's bucket lists. We don't do a lot in that region at the minute, which is why we wanted to introduce this best of Costa Rica adventure. And I think it kind of ticked off the boxes of what we were trying to achieve. I think we have got a few more trips coming in that region, coming in the next sort of couple of months. I think Costa Rica is definitely one for people's bucket lists. And I think it's a great trip as well if you kind of want to get into adventure travel a little bit, isn't it? And you want to kind of experience it, but still kind of be looked after. And it's not too intense. And, you're staying in, nice places, and there's a mix of activities there, so I think it kind of feels like a bit like a holiday as well, I would say.
Yeah, it does. The holiday with a good mix of adventure. Yeah, the accommodation was great. Mixture of lodges and private kind of boutique hotels, and they were all very friendly and lovely. Like the food was amazing. Like the people are incredible in Costa Rica, and they're so passionate about the environment, and they have a way of life, and they call it Pura Vida, which is like pure life, and it's just a vibe. It's lovely.
And what were the cocktails like?
Oh, good. Good,
I
of
saw
course.
plenty of
That's the
cocktail
usual.
photos.
Yeah, and the beer is good too. The local beer,
Oh,
obviously.
well, I'd have been fine then.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is one of our best of trips. And obviously, as we always say, we started off as a trekking company. Our customers wanted to do more and more. Customers wanted to do more and more things and go and visit more and more places. And that's kind of where the best of trips came from, really. And, we've now got quite a large best of range. From Sri Lanka to Indonesia to Thailand to Vietnam and Cambodia. I'm just rattling them off my head now. I can't think where else we've got, but there is a big range of best of trips. And if that's the sort of holidays you're looking for, where you don't want to go trekking for 12, 13 days on the trot, then the best of range would really kind of suit you as well. The other thing that we forgot to mention, Candice, was that we launched we rebranded a trip last week. And that was what used to be our surf and yoga trip. And we kind of, the Bucket List Company, we went remote as our office towards the end of last year. And one of the things that we want to do a couple of times a year is get together as a team. And last month we went out to Morocco and went and stayed at the lovely hotel that we stay at when we're doing the surf and yoga retreat. And kind of we had a talk about it because we felt like it was super important to go and land in Marrakesh, because for a lot of people that maybe want to go to Morocco, they want to kind of see Marrakesh and then head down to the coast. And then part of the original trip was that there was a day trip up to Essaouira, but it was kind of quite a lot of driving. So what we did was we sort of remodeled the trip and talked about it while we were there. And so the trip now is to land in Marrakesh, spend 2 nights in Marrakesh, then head down to Essaouira and have 2 nights in Essaouira, and then head down to Tagazout, where the surf and yoga takes place, and do your surfing and yoga there then, and then fly out of Agadir, which just basically, gives you more time in each of those places to kind of go and see it all. And I think, not everybody wanted to go and do surf and yoga for the whole time. People wanted to see different things. And I think now that we've kind of remodeled that trip, I think it gives a lot more with a lot less driving for one, gives you longer in the places, and gives you more time to explore. So Tom's just put a link there into the chat, where it's now rebranded as the Moroccan Coastal Adventure, which we couldn't really come up with a better name. But the issue being was that we wanted to land in Marrakesh. And although you're there for a couple of days and that's nowhere near the coast, most of the time is spent following the Moroccan coastline. So that's why we rebranded it as the Moroccan Coastal Adventure. So if that trip sounds interesting to you, go and have a look. But also, like with all of our trips at the minute, there is money off them because it is National Bucket List Day today. And that's not a day we created. We're glad somebody else did create it. But it's kind of, we've taken it on as our day that we do something with every year. So if you've got something on your bucket list and we've got a trip that offers it, then today is a good time to go and have a look and buy. You can secure your trip for just £1. And also there are money off the adventures as well. And, you know, for some of them, they're up to £500 off those trips. So
Yeah.
today is a good day to buy. And I
been
think,
there.
to be honest, looking down through all the trips that have been bought today, people have been taking advantage of, you know, maybe the more expensive trips where they're getting the bigger discounts off them as well. So I've seen quite a lot of Chile and Easter Islands and gorilla trekkings, and we've had some Ecuador and Galapagos booked today. So I think people are utilizing National Bucket List Day to make some savings as well. So that's been great. Okay, so what we're going to do now is do a bit of a Q&A. And if anybody is watching and has a question, then please do add those questions into the comments and we will come round and answer them. And Paul has asked, have you been to Burma? I've not been to Burma. Have you been to Burma, Candice?
No.
Or do we run tours there? And unfortunately, the answer at the minute is no, we don't run tours there. But you know, if enough people started asking about Burma as a destination, then it's certainly one we would start to look at. You know, we've got some new destinations already in the pipeline coming on board this year, but we're always looking to add new destinations as well. So if there are places people want to go, then we're always willing to listen and see if we can put a trip together for you. What country, if travel restrictions and political situations were not an issue, would you both want to travel to and experience?
Oh, wow. I'll let you go first, Keith.
Okay. Well, I think I would like to go. Well, yeah, Russia at the minute obviously is one. You know, we'd love to get Mount Elbrus back on the agenda. North Korea, I'd like to go and see. I think, you know, just because of how secretive it is, I would like to go in, sort of understand and have a look at. I think there's many more really where travel restrictions are kind of impacting that much at the minute on anywhere I would want to go anyway. But I think, North Korea, I'd like to do South Korea as well, but you know, I would like to go in and see North Korea. But yeah, I think most places that are still on my bucket list, I'm able to go to, I think, at the minute. I think, you know, it's just more time and money rather than political and travel restrictions. I think, you know, we had that C word, destroy it 2 years ago, you know, a couple of years ago for 2 years where we couldn't go to places. And I think that kind of really did make people realize that, you know, when you can go and do them, go and get them done. Because you don't know when things change, or, you know, who knows what's going to happen in the world, you know, with what's going on at the minute. So yeah, that would be mine. Hello, Ellie. Ellie is watching. Ellie from the office. So Ellie's giving us a wave on Instagram. Helen Luckett is watching. So hola, Helen. How are you? Hope you had a amazing trip to Costa Rica. Someone's asked, your Uganda trip is more than just gorillas. What are the other big reasons to go? Yes, it is completely more than just gorillas. And I think, you know, we've done a podcast on this, and, you know, we did talk about this on the live as well. And the gorilla trekking is so expensive to get the permits. You cannot just go to Uganda and go and see gorillas. You know, well, you probably could do, but it would cost you a lot in permit fees if you did that every day. And actually, you know, one day of seeing the gorillas, I think, you know, is enough and you appreciate the fact that you have the ability to be lucky enough to go into their environment and see them. So other big reasons to go is the wildlife. The boat safari was just amazing. Going chimp tracking was incredible. What else was there? The lion tracking was amazing. So yeah, I mean, there is, every day was just building. Like going to the slum, that was just incredible, of having the, being able to go and work with a charity in the slum and see it. And I think that's super important when you go on these trips, is that, you experience the amazing stuff, but you also experience the real stuff as well, and really appreciate what that country is going through. So yeah, the Uganda trip is amazing. Obviously there are 3 places in the world, 2 where you are able to go and do gorilla trekking at the minute: Rwanda and Uganda. I did write a blog post on the differences of why you would choose one over the other. And Tom hopefully might put a link up to that blog post in a minute. But for me, Uganda definitely gets the tick of where I would want to go and trek with gorillas. And that's not just because of the cost, because that is about half the price to go gorilla trekking in Uganda than it is in Rwanda. But yeah, there's other reasons as well.
So much more to it, yeah.
And it's just such an amazing trip, and did go down as one of my favorites. Well, it's been one of my favorites from this year so far. And looking at my trip list of trips that I've got to do, I think it probably at the end of the year will probably still remain as one of my favorites. And I personally can't wait to go back and do it again. I thoroughly enjoyed it. What other questions have we had? We have one from Claire, who's going on to the Sahara Trek in 2027, but was wondering if a down sleeping bag instead of a synthetic one will be okay. Yeah, that'll be perfectly fine.
Yeah, you don't really get that cold. That's from memory.
Well, I mean, I have had it where it's been really cold.
Really?
But obviously a down sleeping bag will be a lot warmer potentially than the equivalent of a synthetic. And hopefully the chances are that you will not be getting too wet in the Sahara Desert. And that's really when you don't want to have a down bag, if there's a risk of it getting wet. So for the Sahara Trek, I would say it would be absolutely fine. And if that's what you've got already, then you certainly don't need to change it. So you can use that one, no problems at all. Sharon's asked us, can you tell us a bit about the Great Wall of China trek, please? Yep, I can certainly tell you about the Great Wall of China trek. The Great Wall of China trek that we've devised is kind of taking you away from the visited parts. Obviously, it's a very popular bucket list destination for people to go and see the Great Wall of China. Like, what we wanted to do was to create a trek where you were kind of off the beaten track a little bit. You weren't around so many tourists, and being at the real tourist spots where kind of the bus trips go to take people to go and see it. So that's kind of what our trek's about. Obviously, it is a fairly hard trek. A lot of the wall is broken up. There are lots of ups, there are lots of downs. Obviously, there isn't any accommodation on the wall, so you kind of need to come off the wall and then go back up onto the wall again the following day to kind of carry on following it. So you get to kind of see the local community a lot as well. You are in very rural areas that aren't overly touristy, and we've made a few tweaks to the itinerary recently, just because I suppose some of the accommodation wasn't quite up to the standards that people are generally used to. being that is the only accommodation that's there in some of these places. So we have actually changed it a little bit just so we can make sure that we are staying in places that are more suited to Western sort of expectations, should we say. But yeah, it's an amazing trip. Hugo delivers that trip for us. Hugo holds the Guinness World Record as the only person to ever walk the whole of the Great Wall of China. He also speaks fluent Mandarin, so he is much better suited to leading that trip than, say, me or Dave or any of the other guides. So that's why we like Hugo to lead that one for us when he can. But yeah, it's a brilliant trip. If you want to tick off China, if you want to tick off the Great Wall, then it's a perfect trip for that. Having Hugo there, like, he lived in Beijing, like, he knows everywhere in Beijing. So you really get that kind of, not only having a local guide with you, but your bucket list guide on that trip also is able to go and show you so much more as well. And that's kind of the feedback that we've had from customers on that trip, is having Hugo there is really kind of highlighted it when he can lead them. So yeah, it's a brilliant trip. And if China is on your bucket list and walking the Great Wall, then it's certainly one to add to your bucket lists. Okay, let's any more questions? Well, I think we've kind of got to the end of the ones that people have asked so far. So if you've got anything else to add, then please do add them in the into the comments, and we will get round to answering them. But also, I mean, Tom, if you just want to put up the link to the National Bucket List Day as well, just to so people can go and see how much money is off each trip. Then if people have just joined us, then they can find that link quite easily. But yeah, it's you know, we've got all of our trips on the offer, whatever's on your bucket list, whether it's learning to scuba dive, you know, whether it's going whitewater rafting, which is the next trip that I'm heading off in a couple of weeks' time, to, you know, climbing Kilimanjaro, to trekking to Everest Base Camp, to doing the Great Wall of China, to trekking the Sahara Desert, to, you know, zip lining through, like, you know, I think there is probably something within our portfolio of trips that would be on the majority of people's bucket lists, or they would want to, you know, do it and get those added. So I think there are so many great trips, and I think, you know, maybe sometimes there's too many trips because people can't decide, you know, what trip people want to add to their bucket list. You know, we've sold quite a lot of safaris today, haven't we? That's been one trip that sold quite a lot of the Tanzanian safari. And if, you know, going on safari is on your bucket list, then that trip just nails it. And I think Tanzania is a lot, you know, is overlooked quite a bit compared to like the Kenyas or the South African safaris. And, you know, Tanzania is certainly one that you should be adding to your list if you want to go on safari. Accommodation out there is amazing. Like, you know, just waking up in these lovely lodges in the middle of the Serengeti with elephants walking past, you know, is just an absolute bucket list experience, and one that, if you love wildlife, you know, you should again add to your bucket list. Adventure Spain, if anyone's looking, obviously a lot of the trips we've been talking about have been expensive trips. We do have some really, well, on the cheaper end of the scale trips. You know, we've got our Adventure Spain trip. We have our Mount Toubkal trip. If you want to learn to scuba dive, or you're already a scuba diver, then Gozo is a great trip to go and do. If you want to learn, or if you already know how to scuba dive, it kind of caters for both of them. We've got Machu Picchu treks. We've got the Salcantay, the Lares, and the Inca Trail trek, depending on which one you want to do. There are also any scuba divers out there that are watching now. There are still some spaces on our Maldives liveaboard trip for next year. I think there are still 3 spaces left on that trip, I think. So that's going to be amazing. We've chartered the boat as the bucket list company. So it's going to be bucket list clients on the boat. The boat sleeps 16. So very small group, 3 dives a day, diving in the Maldives and driving around visiting the islands. I can't think of a better way to spend 7 days in the Maldives, really. So if the Maldives is on your bucket list and you can scuba dive, then that might be an option for you. And then there's also an island add-on that you can do to extend your trip as well. So if you want to spend a little bit longer out there and you want to go and stay on a nice resort with an island, then yeah, that trip is definitely for you. We've got our real Maldives trip. So if scuba diving is not for you, but you want to visit the Maldives, but you don't want to go and visit a resort island and stay, amongst a resort, then the real Maldives might be the trip for you, where you get to go and stay on a local islands and boat hop between the local islands. So that again could be an option if you want to head to the Maldives. Any trips that I've forgotten, Candice, that you think we should mention?
I do. I think you should mention the Trailblazer Annapurna Base Camp trip.
Yes, I'm leading that one. Yeah.
You are.
Well remembered. So if anyone is looking for a trekking trip at the end of the year, October, middle of October, I think it departs. Yeah. We are doing our first Annapurna base camp trek, and the Annapurna base camp trek is a lot lower in terms of altitude than the Annapurna circuit or Everest base camp, and also it is a shorter trip as well in terms of days distance wise. So if going away for an Everest base camp Annapurna circuit trek is around 17 days flight to flight and time in country, where the Annapurna base camp trek you can kind of get in 2 weeks, and you only reach kind of 4,500 meters rather than the sort of 5,500 meters that you'll be doing on Everest base camp or Annapurna circuit. So if you're a bit worried about altitude, can't take so long off work, then the Annapurna base camp trek is one that you should certainly look at as well. We've got a small group currently heading out to that one. I'm leading that one. I'm really looking forward to getting back to Nepal. And the nice thing about the Annapurna trips is the fact that you don't need to fly to Lukla, so the weather doesn't really get in the way, and you don't lose time as well that you can get on Everest base camp, which is again what happened a little bit this season again, but it didn't cause us too many problems. And actually, it's the first year so far that I don't think that we've had to use a helicopter. So that's been a bonus. So that's been quite good this year. Let's just wait for October, because that could all change.
Yeah, there's still some dates to go.
There's still dates to go, so that could still change.
You've jinxed it now.
And we've still got some EBCs in Gokyo still to go out yet. So let's touch wood and hope that it still continues. But we've still got spaces, last minute trips for this year. Obviously, we have got all of our dates in 2026. And we've also got our 27 dates launched as well now. So, you can really plan in the future and get your dates booked in as well. So if there are no more questions from anyone, we've just gone over our half an hour. So I think we've pretty much covered everything that anybody was asking. But do check out the website. Do check out the offers that are on at the minute. Obviously, check out the Costa Rica trip, because as Candy said, it was amazing. And awesome. Yeah. So I think we've covered anything. Anything else from you, Candice?
No, just happy National Bucket List Day, everybody.
Happy National Bucket List Day. Okay, well, we will be back next month with another Ask the Expert. I'll have just come back from Morocco at that point, so I'll probably be telling you all about the whitewater trip, which I really do enjoy leading, and the the weather and the water levels at the minute look amazing. So I think we're going to have some really good water levels as well. But I'm going to leave you with a video now. We'll be back, like I say, in a month's time. If you've got any questions on any of our trips, message in. We'll be working, as it's National Bucket List Day, we'll be there to respond to them all evening. The offer finishes at midnight tonight, so make use of those money off now, and we'll be back with another episode next month. But until then, thanks very much. Goodbye.
Bye.